Hey guys, StarCraft here, and bit of an impromptu video, mostly because I just saw it last night, but last night was the big premiere of the Steven Universe movie, and I'm a Steven Universe fan. I don't get why, and all the hatred for the show itself. The fandom fandom and all that from so many people who are part of probably the LGBTQ community who are just all like, ugh, and all that stuff. Yes, it's a toxic fandom, but the show itself, I don't get why people complain about it. Yes, there's a lot of filler for a lot of times. I get it, especially when it was like, oh, they started doing those batches of episodes. But a lot of times they do tell stuff in those batches, and they progress stuff. And a lot of the messages and morals they give are good morals. Do they put emphasis on the LGBTQ stuff? Yes, to a degree. But again, it's not as bad as other shows have. And as I've always said, if this show was done now, and they would never, ever have given Greg, Universe, Steven's dad, as important of a part. The way I always saw it is this. If it was done now, and if they were as woke as everyone claims they were to be, they would have instead had to be where Greg would have been an incompetent guy who just was around just to influence Rose to make Steven, and then the Gems, despite their whole culture, never knowing what it's like to raise children, all of a sudden miraculously know and raise them perfectly, and that Greg would have no part. But the thing is, though, Greg is so vital to Steven's life, and he's what made Steven what he really is. All of his personality traits come from his dad more than his mom, and we find out more and more as the show goes on. It's even in this movie, which I'll get to, and yeah, that's one of the biggest differences between so many others of these more progressive woke shows. And I like the character designs. It's the color style, but it's one of the ones that actually works, in my opinion. Again, I don't get this hatred. If it's because of the fandom, all right, hate the fandom, but what's wrong with the show? And if it's just a case of like, oh, they play on these allegories, give me more than that. Give me more than just the allegories, please. That being said, with this movie, I loved it. It picks up 2 years later after the end of the season 5 finale, and it's a good thing too, given how so many people complain about, oh, there's so many episodes of doing nothing. If we had to have 2 years in universe worth of all of this, of nothing but a happily ever after, it get boring and stale. So they skip to the point where action is starting up again. Things are not going to be what they feel like. But you know what? And the thing is, in those 2 years, Steven's got a neck finally. So yeah, that's a bit of a joke if you don't watch the show. But but he's finally let himself grow up. Because the thing about Steven is, he's always been 13 or going and became 14 as the show went on, but stuck at the 10-year-old because that's how gems work. They age to where they feel like they're aged at. And Steven kept feeling like a kid. But now he finally feels a chance that he can finally mature and grow up, and he feels like it. And the actor's finally getting a chance to use his normal voice. Good for him. But it does feel like he actually has a chance of acting more like an older teenager to a degree. He and Connie are a bit closer, but she's not a main focal point. They didn't shove any romantic stuff except for a quick little kiss on the cheek. That's all. And yeah, basically the whole point is that Steven feels like they have a happily ever after, and then another thing from his mom's past comes in and starts to ruin everything. But there's a big twist that I did not expect. The big villain. Okay, this is gonna be a spoiler review, by the way. The big villain that we've been building up. It's not another universe pink diamond. It's not a failed prototype at a pink diamond. It's not any of the other gems that have been established. No. Her name is Spinel, which is a type of gem. And she was Steven's mother, Pink Diamond, Rose Quartz, who was really Pink Diamond, her playmate, her little court gesture, who we find out it was left behind for the 6,000 years that Rose has been gone, just told to stand there and wait. And she did just that. Until she finally found out from Steven and from Rose's son, of which I'm surprised she actually accepted it. Most other gems don't. She realized, like, she's never coming back. And she has to wonder, did I do something wrong or whatever? And she decides to take it out on Steven. And her plan is actually pretty smart. Bring this giant thing called an injector, which is designed to destroy all organic life, which will take out Steven's organic side. Then she uses this giant scythe-like weapon, slashes it at all the gems until they poof, revert back to their gems, and swipe at Steven, who has been now very much confirmed he is unpoofable, at least his human half. His gem half, unfortunately, seemed to be acting up, but Steven was able to get the weapon and slash at Spinel and poofing her. And then we find out what happens. Turns out that scythe was a rejuvenator. It resets them all back to where their default was. So throughout all this, we have the main villain being this complete another Cuphead style old Golden Age animated looking goofball of a gesture, and all the other gems are back to normal, or back to their original selves, not remembering anything. Right down to ironically having, because of how Pearl's operating system works, she becomes Greg's Pearl. And it goes like, I'm Greg. It's what she keeps calling him. And it's up to Steven and the others to remind everyone, but again, in ways that you didn't expect. And that's what I like about this. And this is something I've always liked about Steven Universe. You keep on thinking you know where this is going. You keep on thinking like, oh, I've got it. And while some people may get it to a degree, the show ends up revealing not to what you thought. Like, no one knew about White Diamond when we did. We had no idea what she was going to be. And then once we saw it, even by the final episode, we didn't expect how things were going to be resolved. And now, even with the diamonds here, you would think, oh, they've changed a lot more. But then you also realize, given how old they are, would they really change that much and accept that change? Things like that. But again, in this, you just would not expect that the bad guy's plan would hinge on this. And it kind of felt like it did hinge on it. And again, they're going around, and even when Steven's able to get Garnet, which is Ruby and Sapphire, refused, that was just step one. So he goes then from there to the easiest person, obviously, Amethyst. That works out pretty well. Just simply have to take her around the places and remind her. All the while, Spinel is still just following him around, again, being a goof, and wanting to be a good friend. And then, as it goes further, they decide they have to go and get Pearl, because Pearl's the only one who knew about Spinel, because they need Spinel to shut down the injector before it brings about the end of the world. Then, but to get the Pearl, it's a lot harder. They tried doing, rebelling with music. That doesn't work. They even have Amethyst turn into looking like Rose, which even they had to ask Greg. And Greg's like, if it'll help get things done, then do it. And still didn't do anything. But I actually like that little nod to a way earlier episode. Then it finally took them where they realized the biggest part of Pearl's life was when Rose /Pink Diamond was gone. So it was then, and they realized we got to do something to take Greg off the board without killing him, obviously. So what do? Because it's been shown that a human confused with a gem hybrid like Steven knows that was Connie and becomes Stevani. Doesn't appear in this movie, by the way. So because it was his own dad. Yep. We finally get a Steven-Greg fusion, and they become Stag, who is this big, jacked up, 8-pack, four-armed, and there's a dual-headed guitar, are voiced. I originally thought it was Chance the Rapper doing it, but no, it's a guy named Ted Leo. Turns out Chance only did a songwriting. He did not do a voice in this, apparently. But yeah, Stag looks so much like a stag from JoJo. So yes, it's a motherfucking JoJo reference, everyone. But yeah, it's real, and I do love it all. Doing the music, Pearl starts going like, oh, like she's completely aroused almost. She's not. Again, but also when Stag having the guitar and is playing it, he's doing guitar jazz that looks like pelvic thrust. It's like, They know what they're doing. And it's just like, oh. But again, when I saw it, I was just like, holy shit, I did not expect this. Then they eventually get able to Pearl her memories back. Then she and Amethyst fuse into Opal, who we haven't heard her actress since her first appearance, so she's back and doing a duet with Stag, which was great. But Steven, his powers, I should reiterate, have been drained. So every time he does stuff like even fusion, it's taking a toll on him. Then eventually, Spinel runs off, and she and Steven find out her memories, and Steven just feels like, again, my mom did something. And Freddy's like, I'm surprised my mom did this. No, wait, I take that back. I'm not surprised at all. His mom was not a bad gem. She was just innocently insensitive, innocently selfish, not realizing what she was doing was affecting others until it happened. Even then, still was focusing on herself only. And then eventually, Spinel remembers everything, doesn't fully go back to being bad yet, goes on, they starts to reverse everything, fix the injector, but just reminding us how unstable she is, she starts to get paranoid, thinking like, oh, you just want me back to do this, and then I'm back to being forgetfulness, everything. You want to reverse everything, huh? Oh, I'm not falling for it. And starts putting the injector back on. Steven tells the Gems, go help the others, I'll deal with Spinel. And then during this, we then have this moment which I actually like. Again, showing where Steven has gotten. Steven, and hearing this in the actor's own voice, again, just shows there's a bit more rawness to it. He's like, why haven't my powers reactivated? I am fighting for my life. I am having to deal with someone wants to kill me. A gem wants to kill me. I am dealing with I promise my mom is gone. It has nothing to do with me. What am I doing wrong? Then he realized, trying to have this happily ever after and feeling like he doesn't have to change anymore. No, that's not how it goes. And he finally is able to reactivate his powers, leads into a fight with Spinel, and this is the part in the trailer where I love, where she's like, just can it, would you? Because he's singing throughout all of it. It's like, you can't solve everything by singing a stupid song. Because, yeah, this is a bit of a musical, and the music is great. It is good. Like, the songs always have been in this show. But eventually, as Spinel just keeps on wailing, then soon realizes, why am I doing this? You're my friend. I just want you to be friends with me again. Yeah. Eventually, she just stops. They get out of there, and before the injector blows up, this planet is mostly spared. Not dying, I guess. They never fully explain that. That's probably one issue I have. The diamonds show up, and well, I should point out earlier, they've been wanting to make sure that Steven, they accept that he's not pink, but they still want him to stay with them because, yeah, they want Pink back that much. So they said, like, we're going to stay with you. And Steven's like, oh, great, this isn't going to go well at all. But then they soon realize this, and this is what they do. Send Spinel to be with the diamonds. She'll remind him of Pink, and they will remind her of Pink. And that's all they really need is something that's close enough. So Spinel goes with the diamonds go back, they're not going to bother Steven unless he comes visit. And yeah, they repair the town, everything starts going back to normal, although I do like this. When Spinel had asked, what about me ruining your happily ever after? There is no happily ever after, I still got work to do. I love that. Basically acknowledging that Steven's realizing it's not going to stop. There's always going to be something out to do, and there's the help that I can do. So, yeah, it just ends there. Everything's back to normal. Threat has been resolved. But again, it's not what I expected the movie to be. I didn't think anyone expected what the movie was going to be, which is good at keeping secrets for up to this point. And again, I enjoyed it. This could be a great series finale. It's also a great lead into another season, which is what I hear is going on. And who knows, maybe that season might be one more season, maybe more. This sets the door for more to go forward. And I can't wait. So yeah, that's my feelings on the Steven Universe movie. I loved it. And anyone out there that's a hater, okay, one thing I want to make very clear very quickly. To anyone who's going to try and do the whole, and try to claim, oh, Stephen and Greg fuse. Fusion is an allegory for sex, so they're promoting incest. No, that allegory for sex goes to a point, but it's more about fusion more represents love in any type of form. It can be equal to sex, which I still think applies to Garnet in a lot of ways. Maybe even Pearl was Rose way back. But any other time, the only closest thing is Stephen and Connie, but that's more romantic, but not sexual. Although one could make a joke about it to a degree. But anyone else, I mean, come on, when you have Stephen fused with Amethyst, who's like a sister to him, or with Pearl, or with Garnet, yeah, those are all familial love. And that's what it was with Greg. It was a familial love. That's what it represented. So if you want to use that as an excuse to dump on the show, don't. Because you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about if you do that. So, that's all I've got. I'm going to get my other 2 reviews out in the next few days by where I want to talk about this. That's all I've got to say. Catch you all later.